No music
Howdy,
or
everybody.
nothing?
No
Oh,
music or
geez.
nothing. We just go straight into it. This is Ham Nuggets. If you haven't seen Ham Nuggets before, this is the show where we try something cold that we've never seen before or never done before and hope to make it through to the end together with help from the chat and help from, I don't know, whatever Hail Mary we can pull out of thin air. Tonight, however, is going to be a little tiny bit different. I am still trying to get to the point where I have all of my stuff set up in the RV that I'm living in. I've been living in the RV for over a month now, and it's been great, but you know, I've got a house, a pole barn, a garage, an RV. So I've got lots of space to put stuff in, and it is everywhere as we are getting all things cleaned up and ready to go. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about what you can do with 2 meters. And hopefully you guys in the chat and Jim and I can figure out and make up a list that will be useful for people who watch this on Team Replay many years into the future of things you can do with 2 meters. And if we run out of ideas, I don't think we will in an hour and a half because there's a lot that we probably won't even touch. We'll switch over to HF or some other mode. But for now, we're going to start with 2 meters. So I have a document that I need to share while Jim introduces himself. Jim, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. There's a video of me outside doing radio things today on the YouTube. So just
You did that outside? Are you feeling okay?
I was outside. I was in the shade. It was okay. I'm going to probably do another one tomorrow because I already got some feedback about the video. And I was like, yeah, I kind of knew that, but I was too lazy to go back and get it. So
This was the one where you were talking about 2 meter radios too. You put a tiger tail on a 2 meter radio.
yeah, I did because I wanted to play with that. And I'm like, I just don't see a whole lot of difference. But I thought about this when I was doing it. I just grabbed an 8-foot wire that had alligator clips on both ends. And I added a little bit of extra adaptification to the antenna connector on the Rig Expert so I could just clamp it on. And 8 feet, I'm not seeing any difference. It's kind of...
You had an 8-foot tiger tail?
It's what I had handy. I grabbed it because it had alligator clips on it. Right? And I mean, it was kind of like...
That might have been another problem.
Yeah, I think so too. And actually, one of the comments I've seen already indicates that. And I thought about that after I'd recorded all of it. I was like, oh man, I should have done that with a shorter one, like maybe 35 centimeters long, whatever that is. And
yeah, you need a resonant counterpoise, so you need the other half of the dipole.
Yeah. And I thought, well, have I got a dipole with half of it on the ground? Is this an off-center fed dipole with half of it on the ground?
Yeah. And then I was going to ask the same thing that Don's asking. Did you check for continuity? Did you actually have a connection between the ground screw you were clamped onto and the shield of the coax?
I did not check it, but it was connected.
And technically, it will do, what do they call that, inductive coupling or something? I forget the exact capacitive coupling. If it's
I always get those two confused. Right.
Well,
yeah. No, what I did is I used the Rig Expert, and it has an N connector, so I had N to SMA, female, no male, and then I put on a female adapter and put on another one, so I had some adapters in there, and then used the signal stick and the 6X2 antenna.
I think James is correct. 19 inches is probably the right length.
Yeah, and again, I thought of that after I had done the video. Ooh. And I thought, well, I'll come back.
We're dancing already. Hit the button, Jim. Thank you, TC Fitz. Happy Monday to you too, my friend. Good to see you here.
Happy Monday. And it occurred to me about that, but I thought, well, you know what? Ham radio is experimentation, right?
It is.
Right.
Now you know a way not to do it, and you wouldn't have known that.
Okay, Dave, so Jim, I was actually outside.
I need you to help keep me honest and check the chat while I'm taking notes because it's hard to type and all kinds of other stuff while we're doing that. So I'm gonna put some bullets on. Hope that doesn't offend anybody. But the first thing you can do is you can get yourself a very, very cheap radio. You can get into the hobby for about $25. So, and I'm pulling this stuff out of my head, and hopefully Jim will add some stuff. I know he will, and everybody in the chat will as well. So, entry cost is about $25. Mm-hmm. And then what can you do with that? You can talk on repeaters.
So that gives you local
simplex
talk.
Contacts.
Yep. It gives you APRS foolishness.
Yeah, so simplex contacts are going to be line of sight. So absolute best case scenario, 30 miles. Not going to happen on simplex on 5 watts. But that's like best case scenario. What you're going to have on a routine basis is you'll be able to talk to your friend a mile away if there's no terrain in the way. And then that's where repeaters come in. You talk to the repeater. Ooh.
Dance first. They love to see us do the dance here on Sprockets.
Oh, the bid is to T-Ray 2226. Thank you, T-Ray. Much appreciated. All right. So repeater contacts, as you know, it's me talking to the repeater, which is very well set up, very high up in the air, very good line of sight, and then the repeater talking back out somewhere. So if I'm 5 miles from the repeater, you could expect at least 5 miles back on the other direction of the contact to the other person. And if you're 20 miles or whatnot, because repeaters are generally higher up and well visible from a variety of areas. So that's, your best case scenario with repeaters. Jim, you mentioned APRS.
Right. Now, the $25 FM radios are not going to generally do APRS that I'm aware of. Fangs don't do APRS.
No, you'd need an AIOC board or
not natively, but yeah, for another small investment, you can get a board,
small cable.
Yep, to do APRS.
You might be able to fake it with, like holding the microphone up to the speaker, and you could do it the hard way, or you could buy
seems legitimate. Cable. You could do that.
So with APRS, that's a whole nother rabbit hole you can go down. So APRS will do telemetry stuff.
Yep.
It will do text messaging to cell phones.
And it'll do 1991 text messaging. Be prepared for sadness.
It'll do Twitter-based text messaging.
Yeah, the interface is.
Yeah, the interface is something I'm working on. We'll get there, but I'm a one-man R&D department on that front.
Right.
Let's see.
And these boys are
nice. TC Fitz is back at it. Let's highlight TC Fitz version. Good job, TC Fitz. Thank you very much. Keeping the dream alive.
Oh wait, I think my scroll was. Yeah. I missed.
We're all good now. All right.
I was trying to catch up.
All right. So what else can you do with APRS? Position reporting, obviously.
Weather. You can get weather because a lot of local stuff will broadcast a short, like an aircraft weather briefing piece.
Yeah. So there's two different kinds of weather you can get. Somebody like me, eventually, I don't do it yet, but eventually I will be just beaconing out the weather report for the area that I'm in. So you can just happen to randomly chance upon a weather report, or you can send a message to WXBOT, WXBot, and you can either just send it out, and based on your coordinates that you send, it will send you back the nearest weather report. Or you can say, give me the weather in Tucson, Arizona, and it will give you the weather in Tucson, Arizona, because it's smart like that. So two different kinds of weather reports there.
Good gravy. I mean, T.O.'s not even showing any skin. I mean, I think you need to pop out your chest. Pop some chest out or something there, man.
Thank you, T-Ray.
Thank you, T-Ray. Sparta!
Thank you, buddy. Y'all are all right.
All right. So telemetry, text messaging, position reporting, weather. And so with position reporting, you can also do tracking. So Hayden just took a trip from California to Chicago by train, and he had his 5-watt Kenwood handheld. He had a D72, and he was beaconing the whole way through. And he's got a video where he shows you that tracking trail of all the stations that heard him along the way, which wasn't 100%, but it was still pretty neat. But you can also track weather balloons. So there's a group that has actually sent a high-altitude balloon around the Earth. It has circumnavigated the Earth, I think, 3 times before it finally gave up or got shot down.
I was going to say, well, a couple of them have, dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust.
Right. And there's probably many more things you can do with APRS.
They've gone crazy.
Oh, I love it. TC Fitz,
it's a super chat war.
Anybody else, feel free to jump in on this, too. Help keep the dream alive.
And I'm glad y'all are helping out T.O. because he's going to be mobile, and it will cost him money to get his toilet cleaned out now because he's got to,
yeah,
stop somewhere.
We're doing that the old-fashioned way right now. Jim's like, I'm not going to ask.
Yep, we're going to move on from that.
Yeah, we're going to change off on that one, yeah.
Joe Brett was outside yesterday, apparently tracking.
Oh, Winnie wants to see the silly man dance. Winnie wants to see the silly man dance. Did I say that backwards? I might have said that backwards. Brian, thank you very much.
Brian, thank you, buddy.
We'll even make it big screen for you.
I mean, this is like Studio 54 here, right?
James, much appreciated.
Some milk.
Holy moly! We got James and T-Ray. Whew, I'm going to break a sweat here in a minute.
I think I've popped a bead. Yep, there it is.
A bead of sweat. You say popped a bead, and I'm glad you clarified that. That got a little weird.
A bead of sweat. I'm glistening.
You are indeed glistening.
It was all that being outside today.
Many more things can be done with APRS. So let's jump off the topic of APRS. What else could we do? You could do email.
Yep, WinLink will work over 2 meters. Sure enough. Now, are you staying specifically with 2 meters? That is the most common. Are we rolling UHF into this too? I mean,
we'll do 2 meters. I don't know that is there anything that is doable on UHF that is not doable on
not
VHF?
That I can think of. Not that I can think of.
So that's email. So we've got email, we've got text messaging, we have voice contacts. We have voice contacts over distance. We have a low entry cost. One of the other things that you can do is SSTV, so you can send pictures back and forth.
You can SNED them. I do that typo very frequently. Don mentioned packet radio, and you remember Lon was all about some packet radio when we had him on Thursday last week. Yeah.
All right, so packet radio is what I would call pre-internet. So it's what you used to do with an old BBS, but you don't have to dial up. You can send emails to other users on the bulletin board. You can download data. You can upload data. There's a bunch of other stuff that you can do with it, and then you just have to be very careful not to break any rules or anything. Like you can't leave a file if someone needs to then purchase to download, and you can't charge for the service. Donations are okay. Things along those lines are fine. And we're still at that $25 entry-level radio, and maybe $10 worth of additional hardware to get you onto packet radio. Mm-hmm. The price does go up. Things do get better, but you can still do all of these things. With SSTV, another thing. Go ahead.
Satellites.
That's exactly where I was headed.
Did Hawk get the agenda ahead of time? He's cheating.
He's just a very smart man.
Oh, Skeeter threw one out I sure didn't think about.
What's that?
Moon bounce.
Yeah, Joseph said that too. Joseph is really, really good at moon bounce. We'll talk about both of those in a second. I got to spell moon bounce right because I want to go back to satellite work. So when they launch rockets into space, they need to have ballast. They need to have some kind of weight on it. And why not take up something of value that has some weight instead of just literally taking like a gallon of water up, which has value, don't get me wrong, but an amateur radio satellite has even more value. So there are these CubeSats, and they are, I want to say they're less than 1 foot cubic. So 1 foot on each plane, 1 foot on each side. And they do VHF, UHF. Sometimes they do VHF, VHF. Sometimes they do UHF, UHF. Sometimes they do a variety of things. There is a new satellite up in the atmosphere, up in the space now. I almost started a conspiracy there. That has... They're doing like a greenhouse type thing it's called Green Cube, and they're like germinating seeds and growing plants. And while they're doing that, it is an APRS digipeater, so you can actually store messages on the satellite. I can send Jim a message that's stored on the satellite. Jim can come back 2 days in the future and download that message, and then you could also check out all the telemetry of what's going on with the plants that are growing inside of the satellite as it's orbiting the Earth at 9 million miles an hour. That's not the right math, but it's fine. So there's some really neat stuff you can do with satellites. Ooh, who do we got?
We're going to do 2 at one time. See that segue there?
That was awesome. Your DJ skills are amazing. Thank you very much, TC Fitz. Much appreciated. All right, let's jump back here.
Scout, you're killing me. That was good.
Did you wear your shoes when you weren't supposed to?
I don't like carnies. They have small hands.
They do. It's kind of scary sometimes. Okay, so let's talk about moon bounce. Moon bounce is very interesting. I would like to try it. I have seen some stations that are set up, and you can go very crazy with moon bounce, or you can do it very easily. It all depends. This guy that I saw had an antenna array. He had 4 stacked 70-centimeter Yagis, which is UHF, and then he had I want to say a 500-watt amplifier attached to his 9700, attached to some software, attached to a GPS time reference, and a discipline 10 megahertz frequency reference, and all kinds of stuff. And there is a live chat room that you talk over the internet while you are using synchronized software, while you are sending messages that you're bouncing off of the moon. And the moon isn't like the sun. It follows a different path. Uh-oh. What are we doing?
I mean, we need some new tunes now. I mean, we're wearing the shine off this one.
We need some milk.
T-Right TC,
FSTV.
thank you
We gotta
guys.
talk about FSTV too, yeah.
Holy moly.
And so you can go down the rabbit hole of moon bounce, and that does actually cost you some more equipment, but it is a lot of fun to do for sure. And it is on my bucket list of things to do. But that's going to be one of those multi-episode evolutions, because it's going to take more than about 5 minutes to demonstrate all the things that need to be demonstrated with moon bounce.
Now, LC is saying you need sideband 2 meter to enjoy, I guess, to do linears.
Yes, linear
Because
satellites would be
they're
sideband.
sideband as opposed to the FM ones.
We haven't even talked about sideband, but you can do sideband work on it, which would be a little bit different than FM work. And sideband allows you to have like multiple people talking at the same time, which you still can't hear them, but versus FM, where FM does what's called frequency capture. So if I have the strongest signal, you won't hear anybody else at all. And on sideband, you'll hear all of the strong signals. And if you have good enough ears, some of the weak signals too. So you can do roving. Roving is where you move from grid square to grid square and try to make a contact in every single grid square, and there are contests for that. You can do Morse code. Not a lot of people do Morse code on 2 meters that I am aware of, but I live a very sheltered life here in upper northwest Wisconsin.
And our favorite Aussie said an SSB handheld would be nice, right? I mean, why don't you
Yes.
think Kenwood would have that in their D75?
I have an SSB handheld. It's called an ICOM 705.
Yeah. And the 74 has SSB, but I think it's receive only.
Receive only, yeah.
Yeah. And it does not do, it's not full frontal duplex either.
Right. So Fox Hunt, you can do what they call amateur radio direction finding.
James, I'm not sure if you're kidding or not. Oh, there's 2 laughing faces. Okay. You go away, James. I'm doing the jokes around here. We have hecklers
All right,
in the
so
audience.
direction finding is actually, there are contests and there are prizes involved in that, or you can just do it for fun. Some people do it to find out where there is interference. So this radio here is actually a really good radio for that. This is the Radioddity GS5B, and besides just being highly stylish orange, it has a signal strength meter. So as I move the antenna around, pointing it in the right direction that I think the Fox is, it will show me a stronger signal or a weaker signal as I move away, so I can tell where things are. What's the chat say? What did we miss, Jim?
We're going good. I'm getting some comments now on the beep thing, because, you know, that was legend, Hayden. So,
Yes.
community events. Yeah, you can do that with 2 meters.
Oh, yes.
That would be common.
Yeah. So LCARA, the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association, recently did a what do they call that? They did a pro rally, which is driving as fast as you can through dirt roads in the forest for points in fortune and glory.
Hollywood.
So
He said get girls. Ham radio is a great way to get girls.
marshalling events. So we do the Birkebeiner up here, which is a ski race, a cross country ski race. DC Fitz. Woo! DC Fitz has told the joke, and he wins.
Yeah. I mean, the next thing I know, I'm going to have to start talking about my colonoscopy or something. These super chats keep going. The dance is getting old.
I spelled
news,
marshalling
right?
wrong. Is marshalling
2
wrong?
L's. That's right.
No, it didn't like the 2 L's.
1 L?
Yeah, it said 1 L. Let's do that
Okay.
again.
Sketch.
I don't know. It gets rid of the wavy underline, like pre.
I wonder if that's the
pre-internet.
British spelling. Maybe that's Canadian.
Maybe. What else can we do on 2 meters? So fast scan TV.
Aries and Races, which kind of is the community thing.
So ARES is the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, and in modern times you need to get your Homeland Security forms filled out so that you can participate properly in that. RACES is also an acronym. Radio Amateur Communication Emergency Services.
Sure, I'm going to go with that.
It's something like that. I think they had to make the acronym work, so those are the words that they chose.
Kind of like the gummit.
And they pronounce it RACES instead of races.
Someone, I think it was Hayden. There it is. Tropoducting.
Tropoducting would be long distance 2-meter communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you might do, and let's see if we can pull this up. Let's see if I can share the screen out. Let's stop that one. Oh. The brotherhood is intense. Thank you, T-Ray. I was busy
He
typing.
needs some milk.
I think it's .com. Yeah, nope, that's not it. I'm searching for a website right now. It's the APRS site that EchoLink produces, and it shows you all of the ducting that's going on as reported by APRS.
Oh, I can't remember. There's another. That doesn't ring a bell. There's another one I was looked at, but I can't remember
VHF
it now.
propagation map.
I think that's it.
And their certificate has expired. Their HTTPS certificate has expired.
Sketch. DX Heat,
Okay,
Don.
so-
That's it. DX Heat.
Yes. Does DX Heat do 2 meters? I didn't know that.
I think they do.
All right, let's
Yeah.
present, share screen, Chrome tab, VHF propagation map.
Okay, Hayden. I mean, $2 Aussie. That's worth like what, 23 cents or something. But thank you. We
It
dance.
counts. It counts.
We'll dance for that too, buddy. I'll throw down my disco moves for you, Hayden.
Awesome. I have no
Oops.
dance moves.
This is Sparta!
Okay, so this is aprs.menolink.org/map. I'm copying the link and I'm putting it in the chat for you guys right now. And as you can see, there are some really long distance communications going on, like the connection by W3AD in eastern Pennsylvania that's going all the way out and being heard in mid-Ohio.
That's like Columbus, where that ends in Ohio.
Yeah. And then we have some more around Utah and some more up in Montana and a whole bunch in Maryland and Virginia area. And then some across the lake between Canada and Michigan. And during the day, this will actually get much bigger.
Yeah. Hayden's also talking about DX Info Center. It's spelled wrong. Center is, but, you know, he's Australian.
Right.
If
Excellent. Thank
you
you,
want-
Hayden.
Do you want to pull that one up? Let's take a look at it real quick.
Let me see.
Or I can. I don't
Well,
care.
you can't copy and paste from the chat, unfortunately.
I can from the. I can
YouTube
from the
chat.
YouTube. Yeah, from the YouTube chat.
Go for it. Bring it up.
Because I can't
And while
spell
you're doing
center
that,
that way.
I'll take care of Don. Don, previous contributions to the channel will go towards Jim's severance pay. We thank you all. Oh, Don, thank you very much, Don. I appreciate that.
Don, I think I deserve a little consideration. We're in the Flex Brotherhood together, Don. Oh, what are these commercials? Are you sure this is the right website?
You're killing me, Smalls.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off
I'm
and
just
on again?
remixing some sound
Hello,
effects at this point.
It's no Scottish,
Right.
it's crap. If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
And Jim's favorite thing to say.
Right. I was vetting this website because the ads are a little past your ratings level there, Steve.
You know those are targeted ads based on
On
recent search history and things.
no, not those. I don't search with Chrome, man. I don't even use Chrome,
Okay.
except for this.
So explain this one.
Okay, well there it is, underwear ad. Okay, with a wiener in it, and I don't know what this disturbing thing is either.
You didn't really need to share that. It's okay.
Well, don't.
Get it off the screen. Go.
It's for personal use only. I'm just saying.
And when I said explain it, I meant explain the website about the tropospheric ducting, by the way.
Woo. Okay. So this is a busy chart. We can't. Oh, okay.
E3IEK, that's where I was going too. Thank you. We will bring that up just in a second.
So as you click it, the clock moves.
Joe Brad, I
It
thought
shows-
Randy was bad.
Okay.
So this is what we think that, based on, okay, yeah, I'm looking at the map across the top. This is why Maryland and DC and Virginia were showing a lot of tropospheric ducting, because there's a high possibility for tropospheric ducting to be happening in those areas. And then even that one that kind of snaked out into Ohio is still in the purple range. You see the color bar across the top, Jim? The very tippity top of the screen?
Yeah.
So that's showing that purple is marginal and 4 is high. 4 is like a medium green, and then 5 is yellow. And the scale goes all the way up. I can't see what critical color is.
Orange is so we've
Hot
got some
pink.
orange down here on the eastern seaboard, like Maryland, New Jersey, Delaware, whatever these states are.
That's what it
here.
is. Google doesn't know what tropospheric ducting actually means, so they just gave you underwear ads.
Yeah. Phew. Very explicit underwear ads. But
Right.
as you click this, it advances the time on their predictions. So if you play your cards right, you might be able to get some good tropo connections. So that's interesting. And then past
You
week
can
maps.
APRS for distance.
Yep. Oh, this is a Canadian website. That explains a bit.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So, there we go.
Hayden says you'll see heaps of tropospheric ducting in coastal areas. Let me get the document shared out again.
Yeah, and he's right. That's where most of that was.
So before we talked about tropoducting, I put on the screen, talk to astronauts. The astronauts on the space station, just about all of the astronauts that have ever gone up to the space station are licensed amateur radio operators. And when I say just about all of them, I mean like literally a good 95% of them are. I honestly don't know of anyone that isn't a licensed radio operator, but I'm leaving room for that to be a possibility. There are multiple radio stations on the space station itself, and they will do a couple of things. So you can talk to them over voice, and Robert Digital Rancher just put up a short on his channel of him talking to one of the astronauts. And my favorite thing is, welcome aboard the International Space Station, when they answer your call. I think that's fantastic.
I'd
So
kind of
he's
get
got
a little
that.
space excitement over that. Just saying.
Yes. And when they're not on voice, they leave up the APRS digipeater, so you can send a packet. I can send a message to Jim via space. If he was listening on APRS and I was transmitting on APRS, we could talk to each other that way. There's also a repeater up there, so I can make a contact by using the space station as a bounce-off point. And so that's much greater than 30 miles because there's no curvature of the Earth getting in the way there. That's a joke, see?
Right.
So you'll be able to
Now
see a
that's
straight
in
line
middle
of sight
Earth
to the space
orbit.
station.
So that is what is middle Earth orbit considered? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
300 or 400 miles. 300 miles seems about right, I think. I'm not
So I'm
entirely
gonna
sure.
change this. To
One of you
say
comment warriors, tell me what middle Earth orbit
space station.
altitude is.
So, Digipeater, APRS messaging, talk to astronauts, and voice repeater. And there's one other thing that you can do every so often, and I think it's the Russians that do it more so than the Americans, but every so often they will send out a set of SSTV cards, and you can work to get all of the cards that they send out in that event. So they might send out 5 cards in an event, and you can work to get all 5 cards. And you'll get an SSTV image back by having it downloaded from the space station. And usually it's a picture of some astronaut-themed thing that's happening in
Right.
relationship to the space station.
Joe Brett's been to the moon landing site. He was there apparently over the weekend.
Yes, we were talking about that. I wanted to make sure he got a chance to see that piece of history. There's the Von Braun Center in Huntsville, Alabama, has the site where you can go and walk up the lunar lander and see the moonscape in Alabama.
Right. It's the one they used. That's where they filmed that scene,
Right.
according to Ape.
So what else do we have in the chat? Because I'm running out of things that I think you can do.
I don't know. We're talking about hobbits here, so I got.
Probably just a brain fart.
Yeah. Nets. There are a lot of 2-meter nets.
Yes.
And weather-oriented 2-meter nets. I mean, so speaking for the one here, I turn it on if there's a lot of severe weather going on. Mostly what I hear is people reporting in Pintlala, heavy thunderstorm, lots of rain, goats flying by, that kind of thing. So that's kind of useful. And, I don't know. Gives you an idea what's going on where.
If there is a severe event, it is actually really nice to have somebody to talk to. And
Yep,
the storm
that
has
too.
passed my area, so like, okay, it's almost coming to me, or it's past my area, so it's almost headed to you.
Right.
Or it passed through here and it only took about 3 minutes to pass through. We had 2 tornadoes come in back to back about 3 years ago here, and it was very nice to be able to get on the repeater from my Baofeng in my basement where I was seeking shelter, because tornadoes come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Digital voice. Brian said DMR
we hadn't even gotten into that
specifically,
yet.
but there are 5 common modes, 3 really common, but there's 5 digital voice modes, 6 if you count M17, that you can use to talk on 2 meters. Now you're talking to your hotspot, but the beauty of that is your tech license, if you're a tech, will let you talk worldwide, 5x5.
Worldwide. So I happen to have a couple of those sitting here. This is a digital hotspot, and it's a Raspberry Pi, as you guys have all seen plenty of. This is a Raspberry Pi 4.
Right.
It has an MMDVM hat on top of it, and you can use this. My DMR radio, this is not a DMR radio, would talk to this. This would then encapsulate that and send it through the internet to someone else who has one of these, or a repeater that has one of these, and then it would pop back out into radio frequencies in their local area, and they could talk to it. You can use all of these digital modes simplex, but you have to have a friend nearby who has the same radio as you and is on the same channel at the same time
Right.
as you are.
And
So they're not
and
internet
there are
restricted.
frequencies, there are unofficial frequencies, official, quasi-official for simplex digital voice. I know I've seen Yaesu publish one, and I think there's a D-Star one. Yaesu and D-Star both are used on HF as well. But that's kind of a very specific set of conditions. And DMR, my local prepper group, I helped them set up radios, and several of them got their licenses. So they use DMR simplex. So when the balloon goes up, they'll be, all digital.
Right.
Because the hillbillies won't, they'll all be on MERS talking about Bubba, get
Right.
that pickup truck.
Now, in addition to digital voice modes, there are also analog voice modes, and this is another Raspberry Pi 4 that has a Shari Pi hat on it, which is an SA818, way more information than you need to know. SA818 radio on a chip embedded into it that will talk on 2-meter analog modes. So I can use this analog radio to talk using this and tunnel through the internet as well. And there are repeaters that have this. So I was actually using this technology to talk on 2 meters to my hotspot through the internet to Australia, and it came out on an internet connected repeater and on 10 meters. So I was talking to Hayden while he was driving in his car, while I was sitting on my couch in my living room talking on my little $25 handheld.
Yep. And digital voice is great because the modes all, in my opinion, sound pretty much the same quality wise. I know one of the chat warriors is going to jump in here in a second and go, oh, Fusion's the best.
Well, it is.
They all sound pretty much alike.
I can say that now. I have a Fusion radio.
Part of that is just the quality of the radio too. So, your $28 Redivus DMR radio, yeah, it's probably going to sound like crap. But that's a really good way to get to start using your radio and learn a few things. You get to play with Raspberry Pi. You get to learn how to configure some cool software. You get to use your radio, and you get to talk to people that are not where you live. And if you've got a buddy, I mean, Steve and I, HF has worked occasionally, but we can digital all day. We can also call on the phone, but we're nerds, so we use radios.
Yep, TC Fitz is right. Fusion is the best.
Fusion is certainly the easiest to set up. Absolutely. Excuse me. Don, they're not far off. Yaesu, YSF, P25, and XDN are all our first cousins. They are almost identical. There's a few differences between the three of them, just in implementation details. I did a video on it a long time ago. It's kind of boring. If you can't sleep, I recommend it. But did you put FT8 on there?
I have not put FT8 on here.
If you live
you can
in
do FT8 FM, but you can also do it SSB.
Yeah, and if you live in a metro area, you have a good chance, a much better chance. Where Steve lives, where I live, there is nobody FT8 on 2 meters that I'm ever gonna hear. So, for me, it's kind of,
Yes. Okay. So there was one in the chat about transverters. You can use these as transverter inputs to convert to higher or lower level frequencies. If you have another radio that is so equipped to do that kind of work. Building antennas. So we talked a little bit at the beginning of the show about tiger tails. And a tiger tail is a way, this radio uses your body as the human counterpoise. This is one half of the antenna here, and then you are the other half of the antenna. And what Jim was trying to do was connect to one of the ground points. Usually this screw is used here if it tones out to the shield on the antenna, to get you increased range on your radio by adding the missing counterpoise in its strongest fashion. But you can also build Yagi antennas, or you can get really fancy. At the Voice of America Radio Museum, they have a 70 centimeter, what they call a sturba curtain, and it is a curtain array antenna, highly focused, and this thing was probably, I'm doing like my arm math here, it's probably 10 feet wide and another 5 foot tall. And the measurements are extremely precise. But when you're working at 70 centimeters, extremely precise measurements give you antenna arrays that are, a few inches, 6 to 10 inches long. I'm, again, making up numbers because I didn't have a tape measure with me when I saw this thing that I was massively impressed with. And it was, I want to say it was probably a 30-plus element curtain array. And you can do that at that kind of scale. Now, if you were trying to do a 40-meter 30-element curtain array, it would take up multiple football fields. Again, streaming math, not actual math. Just to kind of put it in perspective as to, one of these fits inside of your living room. The other one does not. So it kind of makes really highly detailed antennas possible to make and model and play with in real life as opposed to in software. So you can do some really impressive things with antennas at higher frequencies because the antenna elements are shorter.
I thought Nathaniel had a great idea too, and it's really kind of specific to 2 meters and 70. A lot of mobile radios, and I believe some HTs, will also cross-band repeat.
Oh, yes.
So if you are using your 2 meter rig at an event, right? Like here in Montgomery, we have some ginormous bicycle ride where middle-aged people in tight pants ride all over the county. That's a big thing. I don't participate in that.
Yeah, so crossband repeating is a good way for you to park your truck at the base of the mountain with its nice antenna and massive truck-shaped ground plane and 50-watt radio, and then take your 5-watt handheld radio and just go, less than a mile away from the truck and be able to use the truck's more powerful radio to get your signal farther. So you're taking from your handheld radio, shooting the signal down to your truck. Your truck is changing bands and possibly modes and shooting that signal back out with its higher gain antenna and stronger wattage to get you farther distances. So you can do things like that are pretty interesting. You can get more distance. You can ham harder.
Right. And Ken Lewis is torn between D-Star and Fusion. This is not specifically on topic, I guess, but they all three are fine. Honestly, all 5 of them, all 6 of them are fine. Fusion is probably the easiest one to use, to set up.
Usually I say the deciding factor is what your local repeaters use. If you're in a high Fusion area, which is probably likely, I would recommend that if you don't have any digital radio, you get a Fusion radio. That way you can work through the internet over a hotspot, or you can talk over your local repeater, which then is also usually connected to the internet to get you into other rooms.
LC has got a great one here. He parks his Jeep at the Rouge Relay Station 15 with 2 meters and crossband. Then he carries his HT at 70 centimeters as he's wandering around lost looking for the portalet.
Portolet.
He didn't say
the Portaloo.
Yeah, that's actually a very good use of it. If you're not doing an event, you can use it as a radio extender.
Right.
Yep.
The Porta-Johns at Hamvention, I always get Hamvention
they were
and
nice.
crossed up.
Those
they
are
were
the
very
nicest
nice, but they had a little
bathrooms.
sign, and the sign said that they're not responsible for tip overs. It's like, if this thing tips over, it's not ours anymore. You own it. It's yours. We give up.
The one I was in
Abandoned.
said, "Don't eat the big white mint."
Okay.
Oh, come on. Y'all never seen Roadhouse? Jeez.
Some people need warnings for everything, right?
Right. Robert Rittenhouse, you're going to need a hotspot or a repeater that does your digital mode that you want. A hotspot can do any digital mode.
You know what, Jim? This is a good exercise. Robert, give us your zip code, if you would.
Oh, I see
While
where
I
you're
get
going.
set up to do the thing here.
Yep. And then Todd mentioned that Yaesu was really pushing their repeaters strong for a while.
That was a marketing blitz on Yaesu's part. We're going to give you a discount on the Fusion repeater for your club, which then means that everybody in your club needs to go out and buy a Yaesu radio. So we'll take a $100 loss on a $500 repeater, and then we'll sell $20, $30, $300, $400, $500 Fusion radios to you.
He is at 43056.
Okay, so let me bring this back up. And let's do this. All right, so let's see. Proximity search for North American repeaters. This is repeaterbook.com. And we're going to do city and state. And you know what? I thought it was going to give me... Okay, so 43056, you said?
Yes.
All right, so let's do 2 meters. And hit search and watch it complain about the zip code. Yeah. Must specify at least one service type. It didn't complain about the zip code. Let's do
Give him
FM, DMR,
fusion him.
D-Star,
Yeah,
Fusion.
that'll work.
M17's a choice. All-Star, NXDN, M17.
They need to, those guys need to get the Chinese radio manufacturers on board. I mean, I'd drop
Those
cash
guys?
on it. M17 guys.
Oh yeah, they're very close. We're gonna have a show coming up here soon where
We're
we
gonna have them
demo
back?
we're gonna demo the M17 open hardware, which is a connector that you use to connect into like an Alinco radio through the 9-pin connector on the back.
Okay.
Or some other things. It's not only limited to that, but it's still in the very early stages. It's a little PCB board that does the thing, and they're making amazing progress. Okay, so these are the repeaters that show up in your area of Ohio, and we have FM, DMR, IRLP, Internet Repeater Linking Protocol, I think that is, P25, DMR, Fusion, and then 2 EchoLinks. So, narrow this down a little bit more.
Dang.
You'd probably be able to hit the FM and the DMR really easy if you were in the center of that zip code. But these town names probably make some sense to you more than they make to me in relation to your personal location. This 18-mile away, you're probably going to need 20 watts or so to get to. And this 24, 25, you're probably going to need a good antenna in 20 watts or 50 watts or a really, really good antenna and 5 watts. But you probably wouldn't have a problem hitting all of these with some hamming, some old-fashioned intuitiveness. Thank you, Brad. Welcome to membership. So membership gets you insider information. It gets you a private section on the Toads Discord. There is a link in the description down below for that. It gets you a monthly one-on-one meeting with the group of us, and you can ask any questions or share any stories, or you can listen to some of Jim's crazy stories. And that's what membership gets you. And you can join
Just
by
one
clicking the
time
join
in
button
Bandcamp, right?
underneath the video here.
Let's
James is
see.
correct. A Yagi Uda antenna would make up 4 watts, and you can make one out of PVC and tape measures, spit and chewing gum.
I mean, they're not very expensive, honestly. One of the best ones is either an arrow or an elk Yagi. I mean, height is might. And
Yeah, any old piece
Telephone
of wire
patch.
that you have. Telephone patch is before my time, but I do know a little bit about it. Let me put that on the map here. Let's share screen. And
1975
window,
called.
Share that. So
Can you
it
even
was one of
telephone patch a cell phone anymore? I mean, I don't.
the phone network doesn't care.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of I guess through Bluetooth, maybe you could do that.
So what we're talking about here is your repeater used to have a little board in it where you could pick up your 2-meter handy talkie. You could push some buttons on the DTMF keypad on the front. These are, this is the same phone beeps that you hear when you push phone number buttons on an old phone, and tell the repeater you wanted to make a phone patch, and then you could type in the phone number of your wife, the local pizza delivery place, the fire department, non-emergency number, whatever you wanted to call, and you could talk on your radio through the repeater, through the telephone system to somebody on the other end. Again, before my time, but that's pretty much how that worked. It's pretty interesting. So, phone patch. I'm getting worn out here.
I'm
appreciate
past
it.
worn out.
Stephen LeBlanc, thank you for joining membership. Oh, another benefit you get from membership is once a month you get to send your membership milestone super chat. So you get a free super chat once a month. We can't see them in StreamYard, but they do show up for everybody else in the chat. So you get to send some special messages. And if we happen to have the YouTube chat open, we can see them, but we can't highlight them on screen. I've talked to the StreamYard people. They're working on it.
The arrow is a straight up Yagi Uda antenna.
Yes.
Dual band VHF and UHF.
Sometimes they're fancy and they're cross-polarized too.
Yeah, well, I think you can. I don't know if you can adjust it. You might can. And then the elk is a log periodic, and I'm not nearly smart enough to talk about what that is. It's fancier. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the differences in the width of the elements. So a Yagi Uda antenna has very specific measurements for each of, and so does a log periodic. But the log periodic has usually more elements, and they are spaced in logarithmic fashion of distance away from each other and width of each element to make it improve its own gain. And it's just another way of skinning the cat, if you will. I guess we should read that out loud. All the digital modes are cool, but I still prefer EchoLink because it uses analog, doesn't exclude anyone, and you can use either really cheap or really old 2-meter radios. Great for new hams to play with. Yes, and you can also do it on your cell phone. Radio at all. So I can talk to people in Alaska who are on radios by using my cell phone with an app called EchoLink on my cell phone. Just have to have a license.
Yep.
Okay, so we did talk about phone patch, electrical conduit, some clips.
With
Yep.
you, Mark.
So 80s. Oh my goshness.
That's
Okay, so we talked about
California
working
80s.
satellites. Yeah, I know. The log periodic, every element is active. Thank you.
San Diego, Dan.
Yes.
For a while, I thought you were in South Dakota, and then I figured out you're in San
Oh,
Diego.
me too.
Okay, good.
I didn't know that.
I pictured him, in the frozen tundra of South Dakota up there by you,
Right.
typing on his keyboard with a log fire burning or something, because everybody that lives in South
Yep.
Dakota lives in a cabin, right?
Yep.
He's in San Diego where it's hot and sunny.
Yep. So you can tell the repeater to tell you the time. You can tell it to tell you the weather. And what you do is you push to talk. You key down and keep the push to talk pushed. And for my All-Star node, it's *81, and then it will say, "Good evening. The time is," and then it will repeat the time to you.
Bill,
She's very polite.
you're showing our age, Bill.
Right. I don't know who any of those people are.
We're older than you, Sparky. Or Ironsides.
I was keeping the joke.
Yeah. That's something that Randy
Oh.
and Johnny and Randy used on Johnny and Roy
Here's something.
on Emergency.
Control robots. So you can also extend the range of your RC cars, planes, or drones. With a 2-meter radio.
Joe Brett, do you have an elk? Apparently he does, because he thinks it's amazing.
I can appreciate it from afar.
I mean,
Silent.
I felt somewhat freed today doing a video outside. I may get out the Arrow and actually try a satellite outside,
Nice.
as long as I get shade. My people don't really like direct sunlight.
So the other thing you can do with a 2-meter radio is you can buy a cheap 2-meter radio and give it to a friend. They don't have to be licensed in order to listen, but they do have to be licensed in order to transmit. So you can get them hooked just by giving them one that's programmed with the scanner button on it. They can scan through all the local repeaters, they can hear all the traffic, and they can go, "Hey, I want to do that."
Richard runs All-Star. What are you running your All-Star node on, Richard? Are you using a 2-meter rig of some sort, like an Elenco or whatever?
Mark says he's given away a bunch of Baofangs. So Liberty's asking, why would I give them a 2-meter instead of a GMRS? Why not? Both are within the realm of possibility, and I'm not GMRS exclusionary. I knew what I meant to say.
It's a good question, LC. But for example, here, giving somebody a GMRS radio is like, oh, that's keen. I can talk to somebody else who has one of these in the same, 5-mile radius. There's no GMRS repeaters around here. So it's just simplex FM on channelized radios. And in my opinion, it would be better to give someone a real, a Baofeng. Say the word, Baofeng. I'm not shy. Because there's more things you can do with it. You can't do a lot of this stuff on a GMRS radio. And there's nothing wrong with GMRS. I mean, one day the Smoking Ape is going to pass the test. And he'll have a GMRS license.
Can you imagine how he will just never let us hear the end of that?
Right?
Dave in Temecula, California. Dave, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I'm still making stuff up.
He needs some
Check.
milk.
Greg is here. Hey, Greg. Good to see you.
And you guys are, the chat is on fire tonight. Not just the super chats, the chatty chat part.
Yeah, I think we struck a nerve here. Yeah, and I'm with Richard. I have GMRS and ham radios, and I don't discriminate. I have CB radios also.
I draw
might
a
get in
line.
trouble.
I draw a line.
Well, you have scanners. You can hear CB.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we at? We're running out of stuff in my brain. What about
Jeff,
what have we missed?
GMRS is like near beer. Indeed.
Mark says his APRS node is 522421. Mine is 54199, but it is currently unplugged, so you won't be able to reach me on it. I did put this in my car and made all-star contacts while driving to Hamvention last week before last, and that was pretty neat.
Richard, long before you were born, probably, Alabama had near beer. It had to be 3.2% alcohol or less when I got here in 85.
I thought it had no alcohol in it.
No, this had alcohol, but it was 3.2 beer. And maybe that's because I think that's near beer.
Where's Sideboom? I don't think we've said CB enough yet.
Right. Okay, James said 3.2 is not near beer. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's like the non-alcoholic stuff, like O'Doul's or whatever.
Yeah. So I got a big long list of stuff that you can do here on 2 meters. What have we missed? Anything?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, we've hit a fair amount of stuff.
So make simplex contacts, all the APRS stuff, WinLink email, SSTV, AX25 packet radio, satellite work, moon bounce. EME is Earth, Moon, Earth, which is a longer way of saying moon bounce, more technical, more nerdy. I did say...
I don't know. I think moon bounce just sounds cooler. Excuse me, honey. I've got to bounce some signals off the moon to talk to my guy. It's, 60 miles away.
Roving contests, Morse code,
Soda Poda.
fox hunting.
Are they up there?
Oh, no, they're
'Cause
not.
I don't know.
Good
I don't
call.
know that we've done that. Jeff, thank you.
So 2 meters is much more effective on SOTA because you have that 25, 30 mile radius that you can reach. When we were at Montesano, I was sitting at that picnic table out of cabin 13 with the brand new Explorer radio from Gigaparts and QRZ. It's a radio you get for free once you pass your test if you go over there and register for it. And I made a contact to the far side of Huntsville, which had to easily be 20 miles away. I don't have exact... Because he said, I'm on the far side of Huntsville, and I said, I'm on top of Montesano. And he said, oh, okay. And I looked it up on the map, and that's what it looked like to me. It was about 20-some miles. And I was really impressed because it sounded very clear. It wasn't scratchy at all. It was overall a very good contact that we had for a free radio that you get for passing your test. So height is might on 2 meter modes because I was much more visible. POTA, on the other hand... There are SOTA and POTA combos, like Montesano in Huntsville is a POTA entity and a SOTA entity, so it would work well for that. Or when you go to Hamvention, any of the parks that are registered POTA entities near the the Greene County Fairgrounds, you'll be able to very easily make 10 contacts on the 2 meter calling frequency because everybody else is on the 2 meter calling frequency in the park right there with you.
Yeah,
So
no,
I've
Joe
done a
Brett,
couple of
Joe
2 meter
Brett got a
activations.
contact into Tennessee with his HT last year.
Into Tennessee from Huntsville.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know.
Oh, that's
5
awesome.
minutes. It's not that far.
Oh,
I don't know how far it is. It's not real far, but it's probably over 30 miles, I would say.
Oh, okay. I was ready to be impressed, and then you said it wasn't that far. So
Well, I don't remember because I don't drive up there that often. But I mean, it's not far, but for an HT, it's still a pretty darn good contact. That was my point. I didn't mean to. I didn't
Belittle
mean
his achievement.
I didn't mean to diss on 5.0. That's right.
The brotherhood runs deep.
That's right. Yeah, because he did it on a 5-watt HT.
And what are we missing? What are we missing?
Parachute Mobile works on 2 meters. But that's simplex.
Oh, yeah.
contact. That's a simplex
good.
contact.
That's kind of cutting edge stuff. Parachute mobile, balloon mobile, aeronautical mobile.
High rise on the air is what Hollywood's at.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, my friend Carlos K89OLN, who will routinely jump out of airplanes and use whatever radio he feels like taking with him. He has done HF and he has done VHF, so 2-meter work. And when we were at Hamvention, he did 6 jumps, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe not 6. Maybe not
Lord,
up to 6, but he did quite
6,
a lot.
Yeah.
He did one that was youth only on a special frequency that they only had, and I think he made 30 contacts on that jump. So that's pretty cool. But anything you can get in the air, anything you can get up high. So we have people that pilot hot air balloons and people who pilot, regular Cessnas. So if you can get to your local airport, you can get up in the air and then you can make some pretty long distance contacts from a Cessna on 2 meters because you're in the air. Now you have volume issues because the plane is pretty loud.
Okay, well, one of the chat warriors had, that's Nashville to Huntsville. That's 111 miles. But the Tennessee line is not 111 miles.
So James Hannibal is saying WeatherFax. WeatherFax is awesome.
Yeah.
If I can get it on
Dave is saying he can get Hawaii on 2 meters. So that's tropo ducting that's doing that. Dave, have you done that? Have you done that on HT or have you done that on like a 50-watt station or something? I mean, that's pretty awesome ducting.
Oh, Joe Brett is nearby. How far are you from Huntsville right now, Jim?
About 180 miles.
Yeah, you got to go down there and see him.
It's up. It's north. Huntsville.
Apparently, you're not familiar with the vernacular. Everybody says down there, even though it is up there.
No, I don't, because I'm from up there, which is north, and down here is down here, and up there is up there. You're up there. I'm down here. It's very clear.
Yeah. So we did talk about $25 radios, but we didn't really talk too much about. We talked a little bit about mobile radios, but you can install a radio in your car.
Which I think is an awesome idea. And, I mean, that was one of the first things I did when I got my license was get a radio and stick it in the truck.
I mean, you can install any kind of radio that you want in your car, but mobile radios are, usually pretty compact and specially designed to go into a vehicle.
Yeah, and if budget is a consideration, and everybody's budget is a consideration at some point, but I've also seen, and I'm sure they make them, I just don't know who, I've seen several pictures of guys' setups in their car where they've got a mount for the HT on the dash or something like that, and then they run like RG, what is that skinny stuff, 364,
316 or 117.
316, yeah.
174 or 316, either one of those.
Yeah, and they've got a lead to a mag mount antenna on their roof or whatever, and they've got a fang, like a cell phone mount on the dash or something. So you don't even have to spend a lot of cash to get a mobile radio, and the antenna on top of the roof is going to be a huge step up anyway from the rubber duck antenna on the radio. Mm-hmm. And somebody was talking about testing antennas, and that is something you'll find out, and it's interesting to play with. There is a wide range of quality on HT antennas, and they're kind of all over the map with SWR.
So you can make little go bags like this one here. And inside of here, I have one of those antennas that Jim is talking about.
Steve, that bag really ties that room together, man.
there's this room needs all the help it can get because it is. You're currently in my living room, bedroom, dining room, kitchen.
What are you do? Where's your wife? Is she like hiding out right behind the camera?
No, technically she's in the house taking a bath right now. So this, to get us back on topic, is a super elastic signal stick antenna. And you can see that there is quite the size difference between the handy-talkie antenna, the rubber duck, and the signal stick. Where is it? There it is. And when you buy one of these are, I want to say about $15. I don't remember. I don't ask the price because they're good enough that it doesn't matter.
$24, $23.
Yeah. When you buy these, they support hamstudy.org. This is actually what funds hamstudy.org's existence and also the Exam Tools website where you take your online test. So I've said this a couple of times before, but anytime I am when I'm at Hamvention and I see Richard, I go buy one of these. And the last time I bought one of these and some BNC to SMA adapters and a mag mount adapter so I can put this on my car. And if you're up in Wisconsin and it gets below freezing, these are no longer rigid.
You mean flexible?
No. This is semi-rigid, and when it gets cold, they lose their rigidity.
Wow. James Cook said airband monitoring.
Oh, you can do
Some
some
didn't say
HTs
scanning.
have AM. Yeah. Some HTs do have AM mode that you can listen to. Some don't, but if you have one that does, then you can listen to airband, and that's fantastic stuff. But like this bag here has some more powerful antennas in it. It has 2 different radios, so I can talk to myself. I can give one to a friend for tactical necessities. It's got spare batteries. It has one of our AIOC boards in it that Simon made, and we helped make available for you. And Jim is currently repairing some, so they'll be available soon. Some charging cables, some data cables.
Yeah.
I've got faith in you, Jim.
And I'll be actually, since you mentioned that, I wasn't going to mention that, but since you mentioned that, I've actually repaired 2. Not repaired, finished the boards.
Yeah, they were missing a part from the factory.
Yeah, they're missing a voltage regulator because of a snafu.
Bit of a language barrier.
Yep, exactly. And so we have the chips and we have the boards. And I've gotten 2 repaired. We're going to try to send them over to Simon in Germany, Kuppers, I don't know how he says his last name, who graciously
Coopers, I think,
volunteered to fix them all. But we had a snafu with customs, and at $84 a pop to mail that stuff, we're just not going to roll that dice no more.
Yeah, it made a round trip from Pintlala to Pintlala.
Yeah, for $84.
Because they couldn't be bothered to call on the phone and go, what does this third word mean? They just send it back to you. It's your problem. You deal with it. You sort it out.
So I'm working on fixing some of them, and I'm going to have a video of that. I've got some video shot. I want to kind of get the process down a little better before I share that with everybody. But we're working on them. And we don't have a price yet. It'll probably be a reduced price for the factory seconds. I don't know. I'm not in senior management. I'm just a working stiff. So
we would like to get these into your hands and out of our
We
shelves. Because they do a lot better in your hands than they do on the shelves.
Yeah, or in the box in my kid's bedroom when she's not here. So, yeah, and these are all going to be individually tested because the only way to tell if it's going to work is to do a firmware flash. So you will not have to flash firmware when you get yours if you get a factory set.
Nice.
Board. It'll be pre-flashed.
Nice. James is right. We are all technicians. We can all benefit from 2-meter work. And Jody's got an interesting point. Jody says that the full 2-meter band, 2.00 meters to 2.99 meters, has a lot of stuff in it, from roughly 100 megahertz to 150 megahertz. There are a gazillion services in that range. And then the 2-meter amateur band is just a slice of that. Yeah, so you can actually convert meters to megahertz to revolutions per minute. It's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that.
I'm catching up with comments.
Oh, okay. I wasn't confused at all.
Right. Yeah, and I'm with T.O. that helps out Ham Study, which is a great resource if you're working on getting or upgrading your license. So let's see. Signal sticks. Man, you guys are on fire in the comments tonight. Okay. Brian, there's nothing wrong with being a technician, dude.
We haven't talked about what you can do as a technician.
All this stuff right here, dude, you can tear up on tech. Absolutely.
And
Honestly,
there's still more.
All the General really gives you is more HF bandwidth to yap on. That's it. And for extra...
So you can use 10 meters and 6 meters on your technician license now, and 10 meters is just starting to open up. It's going to continue to get better.
Yeah. I don't know what that was. I clicked the wrong thing. Yeah, there's a lot of public safety stuff in 2 meters and UHF. And Dan, I guess it depends. Around here, most of public safety stuff is on 2 meter or UHF. So let's see. Yep, Dell was saying 10 meters was crazy today around noon. Yeah, I mean, 10 meters, 12 meters have been in fuego really the last probably month or 6 weeks. And we're still ramping up in the solar cycle, so. Extra gives you...
Right. Gives you the right to not study anymore. Dan is correct. Dan, that's awesome.
And
but you can take your GROL. That would be the next step.
Do you have to have an extra to take your GROL? I suppose if
I don't think you need to have any.
You might.
I don't think you need to have any ham license to do the GROL test. They're just different. They're different things that you can do, but they're still controlled by the FCC, and they still fall into that element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't believe you need it, but I don't have to look at that because I am an extra. Not bragging, just telling you why I don't know the answer.
Wow, there it is. Just
GROL, the General Radio Operator's License. I don't know if you're agreeing with me, telling me that I didn't say it, or wondering what it is. So it's the General Radio Operator's License, and it gives you the ability, among many other things, it gives you the ability to do like maritime radio recertification. So every marine vessel is required to have a radio, and that radio should work as part of the requirement, so you get to go in and help these people get this stuff figured out. And it's actually not a bad way to make a living.
And you get to play with radio and get a paycheck. Brian, welcome. Brian's admitting he has a problem. Everybody say hi to Brian right now.
Welcome, Brian. You're among friends.
Yeah, we're not judging Brian.
Okay, so James, yep, that's what it is, the General Radio Operator's License. And there you go. I'm very, very, very lazily working on it. I'm actually putting less effort into working on that than I am learning Morse code.
All right.
All right, folks, I think we've reached the end of the Ham Nuggets episode for tonight. We should do this again for what you can do on other bands or other modes or with other radios. But this was a fantastic discussion, and I hope that this list helps get somebody interested and excited about getting their ham radio license or doing things that they haven't done before. And if you have somebody who wonders what they can do with one of these little cheap radios, you can just point them over at this stream, and we all figured it out together. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for the amazing amount of super chats tonight that helps keep the show alive and running. Very much appreciated.
I think that was a great show. Appreciate it, y'all.
Clicking the button.